All right, listen up, folks, because we got a lot to cover today. The mood of the country is finally looking up. For the first time in over 20 years, Americans think we're headed in the right direction. That's right, none of this doom and gloom nonsense anymore. And you know who's in deep trouble? The Democratic Party. Their approval ratings were already at rock bottom last month, and now even lower. Pretty soon, they might not even be a party at all. We'll get into that. Oh, and those activist judges trying to throw a wrench in Trump's deportation plans, they ain't doing so hot either. We'll break that down too. But first, let's talk about something amazing that for some reason the mainstream media don't want to touch. Elon Musk's SpaceX just docked with the International Space Station, rescuing 2 stranded American astronauts. That's right, Musk stepped up when the government sat on their hands, and now our people are safe. And yet, you barely hear a peep about it from the usual networks. Disgraceful. Now, let's get into the numbers. President Trump's been in office for 56 days now, and in that time, approval ratings on the direction of the country have climbed every single week. According to the latest poll, 44% of Americans say we're moving in the right direction. That's the highest it's been in over 20 years. Back in November, that number was only 27%. Even NBC's own analysts admit you gotta go back to 2012 to see numbers crack 40%. And to hit 44% or higher, try January 2004. Yeah, it's been that long.
First of all, the mood of the country, this really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country.
Independents are feeling better about the direction of the country, too. Meanwhile, Trump's personal approval ratings, through the roof. The media will tell you otherwise because they cherry-pick the bad numbers, but the reality is, every major poll has him above 50%. Even CBS has him at 53%, and they ain't exactly Trump's biggest fans. Now, let's talk about the other side, the Democrats. Oh boy, their numbers are so bad they should come with a warning label. Last week, their approval ratings hit an all-time low. This week, even worse. We're talking record-setting bad. CNN's own poll? Yes, CNN shows that only 29% of Americans have a favorable view of the Democratic Party. Republicans, for comparison, 36%. Now, here's the kicker. Just 4 years ago, Democrats had 20 points more approval than they do now. That's how fast the public's turning on them.
Good morning. Welcome Inside Politics Sunday. I'm Manu Raju. First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017. Now, this survey was taken before this week's tumultuous battle over funding the government, which resulted in one of the ugliest intra-party Democratic disputes in years, and left many in the party lobbying furious attacks at Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, who ultimately reversed course and let a GOP bill funding the government become law in order to avert a shutdown. Now, a bitter round of finger-pointing is taking shape after Democrats failed to get a single concession from the GOP, despite having their first piece of leverage to fight back against Trump. Now the big question, where does a party in deepening turmoil and in open warfare go from here?
And if you think that's bad, get this. Congressional Democrats? Worse. A new Quinnipiac poll has their approval at 21%. 68% of Americans say they disapprove of the job they're doing. And what's even crazier, almost half of Democrats, their own people, say they're unhappy with their party. And that's just bad. That's a full-on disaster.
I'm a big fan of the oldies, and when it comes to the feelings that Americans, voters at large, and Democrats have, I can't help but think of Chubby Checker. Why is that? Because the question is, how low can you go? Voters' views of Democrats in Congress, the lowest ever approval ratings on record per Quinnipiac University. Look at this. Approve, 21% among all voters. Look at the disapprove level. Holy Toledo, 68% of all voters disapprove of how Democrats are doing in Congress. Now, you might think that is low, and this is the lowest number on your screen here, down at 21%. But I want to bring you over here to how Democratic voters feel, because this is truly unbelievable. Amongst their own party, how do Democratic representative senators, how are they viewed? Get this, the plurality disapprove at 49%. More Democrats disapprove of the job that their party is doing in Congress than approve. Get this, only 40% approve. These are truly horrific numbers. They are in the trash bin of history. That is how low these approval ratings are. When you can't even get plurality approval among your own party, you know you're doing something wrong.
So what do? They double down. Instead of fixing things, they waste time accusing Trump and Elon Musk of, get this, stealing. That's right. They're mad at Musk for, I don't know, saving taxpayer money and putting it back in the Treasury. Apparently, returning money to the American people is now considered theft in their world. Make that make sense.
Well, Laura, I was at the State of the Union and I was up in the balcony. I was looking down at the Democrats holding up these silly little signs. And the sign that I saw the most was one that said, Musk steals. And I really thought about that, which is, how is Elon stealing? He's returning money to the Treasury. And then it hit me. They actually have come to believe that this taxpayer money is theirs. And by returning it to the Treasury, Elon is stealing from them. That's my best explanation of why they're in such a hysterical state about this. But of course, Elon isn't stealing anything. He is making sure that the federal government is taking good care of our money and that we're not wasting it. It's not going to corruption or fraud. And I think that just has the swamp in an absolute tizzy, because he, along with the president and at the president's direction, they are draining the swamp.
But let's move on to some real action. The Trump administration has just deported over 250 illegal gang members to El Salvador, including some of the worst from the Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua and MS-13. They were caught, rounded up, and shipped back where they belong. The footage from El Salvador's president? Chilling. Commandos met the plane on the tarmac, transferred the prisoners, and took them straight to the notorious Terror Confinement Center, one of the most secure prisons in the world. Now, you'd think everyone would be happy about that, right? Nope. Instead, we got Democrats fighting against these deportations, acting like these criminals deserve to stay, and then, surprise, surprise, an activist judge steps in to block the deportations, ordering any plane in the air to turn around. It's just another stall tactic, just like the time they tried to block Trump from stopping foreign aid payments. They tie up his policies in court for as long as possible, knowing full well that the Supreme Court will eventually overturn them. But hey, let's end on a high note, back to Elon Musk and SpaceX, because somebody in this country still believes in getting things done. The Dragon capsule successfully docked with the ISS, rescuing American astronauts who were stranded up there for 8 months because the Biden administration refused to ask Musk for help. Just let that sink in. The government sat back and let our astronauts stay stuck while Elon stepped up and got the job done. God bless Elon Musk. All right, that's a wrap for today, folks. Thanks to Chris Dallas for another great script so that I can bring it to life for your entertainment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and stay tuned for the next update from yours truly. Vinny's away on a golf vacation with his buddies, so I thought I'd do the favor for him. Glad you all joined me. I'm Lisa Vito, and I'll catch you next time.